Yo, what up guys, I'm Sammy and welcome back to the Soul Brothers channel, and this is my first impressions look on the Li Ning JB one, so Jimmy Butler's first signature shoe with Li Ning. And he used to be signed with Jordan brand, but I believe he switched over to Li Ning in 2020, so it took him 2 years to get a signature shoe. If you guys do want to cop, try to leave a link in the description box. This shoe is weird as far as the price goes. I've been looking on like Chinese websites and stuff, and it ranges from like 220 bucks to like even 300 bucks, which is insane. Li Ning is usually expensive like that, so it's not really a surprise, but holy crap, 300 bucks. I believe that's because of the fees, selling from China or something. I don't really know how that works, but I think that's what I've been told by them. But anyways, let's get it started off with the Tracciones, and in this colorway we have like a solid orange color, right? But it's actually not rubber. So I was like feeling this outsole, like the tread, I was like, yo, this feels kind of weird, you know what I mean? Like, because rubber has like a pretty distinct feel, you know what I mean? I felt a lot of rubber outsoles, right? So it's not really a rubber outsole, it's actually foam. So they're calling this the HCLOC honeycomb structure foam rubber outsole, which is weird because it's not rubber. I don't know why they're calling it a rubber outsole, but maybe it has a little bit of rubber in it. But if you guys also see right here, this is all one piece, right? This part right here that kind of comes up, this is all one piece. So anyways, it reminds me a lot, of course, of the Currys with the flow outsole, right? So you would expect the JB1 to have insane traction on my wood floors, and it's not insane. It seems pretty damn good, but not absolutely instantaneous, you know what I mean? Like, so in the flows, the Currys, they stop like pretty much on a pin. They stop instantaneously, which I'm used to now. The JB1 actually slides a little bit more, you know what I mean? Which is like, it slides a little bit more comparing it to the Curry 10, which is still good because like most rubber outsoles, even if it has like a really good top tier traction, slides just a tiny bit, you know what I mean? So I mean, we'll have to see on how good the traction is, but I feel like it'll still be really good. Also, it has zero squeak, which sucks because I like to have squeak in my ball shoes. Of course, squeak has nothing to do with performance, but you know what I mean? I like to have a little bit of squeak, you know what I mean? And I feel like a lot of you guys do as well. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. Also, I don't really know why they're calling it the honeycomb traction pattern, because the honeycomb shape is like a hexagon. This is more just like zigzag lines, and then, you know, it's weird. It's not even honeycomb, right? So yeah, I am pretty damn excited to try it out on the actual wood floor, on the actual basketball court. But for my first impressions, it still seems pretty damn good. And also, as far as durability goes, the durability seems pretty good actually. The actual like tread, you know, it's not the rubber, like the foam tread feels pretty hard. It doesn't feel as hard as rubber is though, you know. I feel like if this was actual rubber, it would be a little bit harder, you know, like me pressing with my fingers. There's still a little bit of give to it, even though it's like a thicker tread. But I still feel like it'll be pretty good. And also the tread, like the grooves are pretty deep. So I feel like outdoor use should be pretty damn good. It's just, it's a really expensive shoe, so probably not the best idea, right? So overall, the traction seems pretty damn good, and I'm very excited about it. Also, here in the middle of the outsole, we can see the exposed full-length carbon fiber plate. So of course, that'll be good for torsional rigidity, torsional support, but also it has pretty good flex here in the forefoot. So as far as the heel to toe transition goes, here in the heel, holy crap, guys, look at this rounded shape. You know what I mean? And it just feels really nice and smooth here in the heel so far. And then in the forefoot, we have a crazy curve shape as well. Look at that. Just put a little bit of weight here in the forefoot, like the tip of the toe, and just rocks forward, which I really like personally. It reminds me a lot of the Curry 10, or just like all Currys in general. It feels great. Actually, you know, there's a lot of similarities in the shape of the sole as well, right? Very, very similar, which is, of course, a really good thing. And then we also still have a good amount of forefoot flex. Look at that. So I'm guessing the carbon fiber plate, you know, maybe it kind of like separates into two plates, and maybe it's like an X plate or something like that, or maybe it stops, you know, a little bit right here short of the forefoot, but we still have good, you know, forefoot flex. But also it has like really good bounce back, so I feel like you'll have a little bit of spring back as well because of that carbon fiber plate. It feels really nice, especially comparing it to like most drop-in midsoles, right? So for example, the 808-2 or the 808-2 Ultra has a really nice drop-in midsole, but it's just super flexible right here, right? Which is not a good thing and it's not a bad thing, you know. It's just, I feel like it depends on what your preference is. Like if you want a really flexible like sole, then this is great, right? But there's really no spring back or like bounce back from the actual like sole of the shoe, especially when you're doing heel dominant strides on the court. So this feels actually pretty damn nice, you know. I really like that, and I feel like it's one of the first shoes to do this with a drop-in midsole. So now moving on to the cushioning setup. So yes, this does have a drop-in midsole and it's full-length boom. Look at that, guys. Look at that, you know. So of course, another shoe that has full-length boom drop-in is the 808 Ultra. So that's why I got this shoe out as well. So it does feel a little bit different, right? So first of all, the lining is different. Right, so in the 808 Ultra, we only had this fuzzy lining here in the forefoot and nothing here in the heel. In the JB1, we have a full length kind of like lining, and it's like a fuzzy kind of material, and I don't really like it all too much, you know what I mean? Like, I guess they add it so that you get a little bit more grip, because boom, I feel like it's probably, the texture is a little slippery, right? Especially comparing it to like other foams. So that's the first thing, right? So as far as the step and comfort goes, because of this lining, they probably have to glue this down onto the boom midsole, right? So it stiffens it up a little bit, right? Especially comparing it to like the regular 808. The regular 808 has that like cloud midsole, right? So your foot is pretty much right on top of it throughout the entire length of the midsole. So the step and comfort isn't as nice, you know, especially in the heel, right? The 808 Ultra, this midsole here in the heel, there's actually a good amount more compression, it feels like, even though the JB1 is thicker, right? So in the forefoot and also in the heel, it feels a little bit thicker, you know, just a tiny bit. I'm nitpicking at that point, but it still feels a little bit thicker, a little bit higher up off the ground, but with worse step and comfort, right? But there's still nice compression. I'm not saying it's terrible or anything, you know what I mean? Especially comparing to like a really stiff struggle board that's very heavily glued down, right? Also, you know, we have the same kind of like, you know, lateral counters, right? So for lateral containment, it's probably going to be good. It says boom here as well. So the boom drop-in midsole still feels nice, but I just wish they wouldn't put this here, you know what I mean? But I guess maybe they had to, I don't know. Probably in like the test samples, this was a little too slippery, right? But overall, it still has really good court feel, good compression, it's soft, it's comfortable, and I feel like impact protection will still be pretty good. The 808 Ultra wasn't the best for impact protection, like hard impacts, because boom is actually pretty soft, and it did bottom out. So hopefully the JB1 is a little bit better because the boom feels a little bit thicker, right? But overall, I do like it so far in the JB1. And now moving on to the material. So they're calling this the boom fiber material, right? And it's pretty much going throughout the entire upper, and it feels really nice. The quality is great, and it just feels like a really nice textile or knit material, and also it looks really great, right? So I don't know what they did with the threads, but if you shine it in different ways, there's like a red or like pink color to it, and then in some different directions it's like more yellow, right? So that looks really cool, and it feels really premium as well, right? It doesn't feel cheap at all. Of course, that's a good thing, especially for the price, but overall it's really thin, it conforms to your foot very well, it's super comfortable, but there is a little bit of stretch to it, right? It doesn't feel like the most supportive material, but I don't think it's going to be anything bad. And also, like, if you look at all the lateral counters, it feels like a very supportive shoe so far. It's just like this material has a little bit of stretch to it. Also, we have this plastic going around the tip of the toe, and also a little bit more fused going around as well in this U shape for extra durability and support. And also it stays extremely thin here in the midfoot. And as far as the tongue goes, the tongue has a little bit of padding, right? Around it, it's like really thin, and then in the middle of the tongue, it's like, well, it's pretty well padded, right? Feels like a gel padding. And then we also have a little bit of padding here as well. Also, it's a half booty construction tongue, which gives you a better overall one-to-one fit. And then here in the ankle area, we actually have very minimal padding. So overall, this upper feels super minimal, and it feels very comfortable on foot because it conforms to your foot very well, right? It's not super cozy, however, but I do like how it feels on foot so far, and it feels very nice and premium. Moving on to the fit, I went true to size, and it fits me pretty damn well. So my toes go right to the edge of the shoe, and also it is a pretty narrow fit, right? This plastic part, right, this plastic and also the foam kind of squeezes the side of my foot just a tiny bit. Nothing terrible, and I'm not getting needles. It doesn't hurt, but it's just squeezing the side of my foot a little bit. So it is slightly narrow. So overall, that's all good, but I don't really like the toe space, right? There's a little bit of toe space, and also, like I said, this boom fiber material is a little stretchy, right? So the material being stretchy coupled with like the roomier fit doesn't feel great, just because in my personal preference, I like to have a really snug fit in the toe box. So I guess, you know, if you want a snug fit, probably not the best option, because I also feel like this boom fiber is gonna stretch out a little bit once you break it in, right? But if you like a roomier fit in the toe box, probably a good option for you guys. If you have a wide foot, however, probably go up half the size. All right, moving on to the support and lockdown, it feels like it's gonna be very good. So for lateral containment, as you guys can see, we got the foam and also this plastic coming up acting as a sidewall here in the forefoot. And also, if you guys remember, right, we have that lateral counter from the boom midsole, so that comes up. And also we have this here in the forefoot. Here in the midfoot, we have this plastic thing with some ribs on it. And it's a pretty cool, like a shiny color. It has two colors on it as well, with this really nice gradient, and also with the logo, right? The logo is like a thicker plastic, and that also kind of helps to keep the material pretty rigid here in the midfoot. And then here in the heel, we got this plastic heel counter, right? External heel counter, and the foam coming up. And it also feels like there's an internal heel counter as well. So lateral containment feels like it's gonna be very good. And also lateral stability, look at this. This shoe is very, very wide. It protrudes out like crazy. So it's probably gonna be a very stable base as well for lateral stability. Also, it's a low top. So not gonna really get any type of ankle support, but it's a very wide base, right? So support and lockdown feels like it's gonna be good overall right now. And now moving on to the weight of the shoe, it actually feels pretty damn light. I don't think it's gonna be as light as the Curry's though, because there's a lot more like plastic and stuff going on. But I feel like it's gonna be like 12 ounces, right? Yeah, 12.35 ounces. Let's check the other shoe. 12.35 ounces. So yeah, it's a little bit lighter than average. The average weight of my shoes is around 12.5 ounces. So overall, it feels really nice on foot so far. The upper feels very minimal because the material is super thin and there's not a whole lot of foam or anything. But of course, we'll have to see if the shoe is responsive. Hopefully the traction is really, really good. But overall, it's feeling really nice on foot so far. And now moving on to the aesthetics. I love it. This shoe looks awesome. And it's actually inspired by an alligator, right? So we got the alligator teeth here in the forefoot, and that's pretty much all I can kind of think about as far as inspiration from an alligator, right? I don't know what this is. But anyways, yeah, this colorway is absolutely amazing. I also love the two-tone boom fiber material. And yeah, just overall it looks great on foot too. So tell us what you guys think of the aesthetics down in the comment section below. So wrapping things up, the JB1 is feeling really good so far. And I really like how they kind of implemented foam. You know what I mean? Foam is really good for just wood floors. It stops very, very well, but like I said, it doesn't stop instantaneously like the Curry's in the flow. So maybe it won't hurt my feet as much. But of course, we'll have yet to see on that. Also, performance on dust, we'll have yet to see. But overall, everything else about the shoe is feeling really nice. One thing I don't like though is the fit here in the toe box, but of course, it's not terrible right now. So anyways, that about concludes my first impressions look on the JB1. Again, if you guys do want to cop, I'll try to leave a link in the description box, but that's it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.